The Law of One, Book 1, Part 36, Session 16 continued. Questioner: would you define the word density as we have been using it? I am raw. The term density is what you call, mathematical one. The closest analogy is that of music, whereby after 7 notes on your Western type of scale, if you will, the 8th note begins a new octave. Within your great octave of existence which we share with you, there are 7 octaves or densities. Within each density, there are 7 subdensities. Within each subdensity are 7 sub-subdensities. Within each sub-subdensity, 7 sub-sub-subdensities, and so on infinitely. Questioner: I noticed that the time of this session has gone slightly over an hour. I would like to ask at this time if we should go on. What is the condition of the instrument? I am raw. This instrument is in balance. It is well to continue if you desire. Questioner: I understand that each density has 7 subdensities, which again have 7 sub-subdensities, and so on. This is expanding at a really large rate as each is increased by powers of 7. Does this mean that in any density level, anything that you can think of is happening? I am raw. From your confusion, we select the concept with which you struggle, that being infinity opportunity. You may consider any possibility-probability complex as having an existence. Questioner: do things like daydreams become real in other densities? I am raw. This depends upon the nature of the daydream. This is a large subject. Perhaps the simplest things we can say is, if the daydream, as you call it, is one which attracts to self, this then becomes reality to self. If it is a contemplative general daydream, this may enter the infinity of possibility-probability complexes and occur elsewhere, having no particular attachment to the energy fields of the Creator. Questioner: to make this a little more clear, if I were to daydream strongly about building a ship, would this occur in one of these other densities? I am raw. This would have, or shall occur. Questioner: then if an entity daydreams strongly about battling an entity, would this occur? I am raw. In this case, the entity's fantasy concerns the self and other self. This binding, the thought form, to the possibility-probability complex connected with the self, which is the creator of this thought form. This then would increase the possibility-probability of bringing this into 3rd density occurrence. Questioner: does the Orion group use this principle to create conditions favorable to suit their purpose? I am raw. We will answer more specifically than the question. The Orion group uses daydreams of hostile or other negative natures to feed back or strengthen these thought forms. Questioner: are the many wanderers who have and are coming to our planet subject to the Orion thoughts? I am raw. As we have said before, wanderers become completely the creature of 3rd density in mind-body complex. There is just as much chance of such influence to a wanderer entity as to a mind-body spirit complex of this planetary sphere. The only difference occurs in the spirit complex, which, if it wishes, has an armor of light, if you will, which enables it to recognize more clearly that which is not as it would appropriately be desired by the mind-body spirit complex. This is not more than bias and cannot be called an understanding. Furthermore, the wanderer is, in its own mind-body spirit, less distorted toward the, shall we say, deviousness of 3rd density positive-negative confusions. Thus, it often does not recognize as easily as a more negative individual the negative nature of thoughts or beings. Questioner: then would the wanderers, as they incarnate here, be high priority targets of the Orion Group. I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner. If a wanderer should be successfully infringed upon, shall I say, by the Orion Group, what would happen to this wanderer when harvest came? I am Ra. If the wanderer entity demonstrated through action a negative orientation towards other selves, it would be, as we have said before, caught into the planetary vibration and, when harvested, possibly repeat again the master cycle of third density as a planetary entity. This shall be the last full question of this session. Is there a short question we may answer before we close this session? Questioner. Can the instrument be made more comfortable? I am Ra. This instrument is as comfortable as it is possible for you to make it, given the weakness distortions of its body complex. You are conscientious. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth then, rejoicing in the power and the peace. Adonai.